Ladies and gentlemen, Kylee Mitchell-Wells.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm doing well.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. As mentioned, I'm Kylee Mitchell-Wells, Executive Director for Ballmer Group's Southeast Michigan office, and I am joined with Art Bilger, the founder of WorkingNation. Art, tell us a little bit about how you decided to start WorkingNation and what is WorkingNation exactly?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. WorkingNation is a not-for-profit media enterprise that actually this month is the 5th anniversary since we launched. Our original content went up on CNN's platform. Basically, it's a not-for-profit media enterprise to educate people of this country as to what I believe is the most critical issue we face, and that is a potential significant structural unemployment. And it's the result of 4 things coming together like never before in history. And that basically is globalization, technology, longevity, units of labor staying in the workforce longer, and then broken education, particularly given how fast the other 3 are changing the workforce needs and opportunities. And so I have a long history in the media world. I was Ted Turner's investment banker, and I ran the largest Fox affiliate group of stations in the United States at another time. So, if you worked with Ted and, Rupert to a degree, you learn the power of media in terms of educating people in this country, and in their case, across the globe.
Thanks for that. I'm curious to know, too, how do you feel with technology where it's at today? What can companies, education institutions, local governments do to prepare students and their middle skilled population with ensuring that they can get some of the jobs of the future that are underway?
I think the first step is understanding what technologies are influencing the workforce opportunities to the greatest degree, and then figuring out, okay, how do you educate the population? An example that I always use is data and analytics. You're talking about one of the fastest growing job areas in this country, because my belief is over the next 10, 15 years, there won't be an aspect of business, government, or the not-for-profit world that won't be driven by data and analytics. And you don't have to be, yes, in some cases you have to be an MIT PhD, but so many of the jobs have nothing to do with a degree like that. They're community college programs. Now you're starting to see a lot more certificate programs. But the awareness, I have the awareness because data analytics has been deep in my background for other reasons. But the average family in Detroit probably has no idea what an opportunity is for their children to get skills and you can get a job instantly if you have those skills, and probably get paid meaningfully more than any other job you can get. So it's just an example. There are many other tech-related examples that we focus on.
At Ballmer Group, we're investing in career tech education, internship programs, both nationally and in our local region here in Detroit and Southeast Michigan. You and I have talked about how so many of these solutions are local. So what can employers do, local employers do, to start to help address the unemployment gap and working with education institutions?
Well, I think a key thing that they can do is, and you made reference to it, and that is internships, apprenticeships, and we at Working Nation have done a little bit, but we're even going to start talking about national service as a mechanism to help not only young people. One of the big, I think, three motivations that have really driven Working Nation and me. First is the slope of the curve of the change in jobs and skills when measured against time has never been so steep. And the pandemic has made it even steeper. Second example is you've got a dramatic squeeze on the middle class as a result of many of these technologies and things like that. But the third motivation is the one that I think is the trickiest, and I know you're referring to young people, and absolutely we're focused on them, but we're also focused on older people, because never before have we had to reskill and re-educate all the 48-year-olds. And when I say 48, I'm talking people outside the normal academic years, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. And so the reason I jumped to that is because I think apprenticeship programs aren't only for young people. It's an interesting way because you're not putting the 48-year-olds back in classrooms. So, but back to your primary emphasis on young people, I really believe it's organizations providing, the opportunity to gain some skills. I have 3 children, and all 3 of them were beneficiaries of incredible internship and apprenticeship programs.
Well, the governor, she has a 60 by 30 initiative, which really focused on adults. And Ballmer Group, we've supported that because we too know that you have older adults who need to be reskilled or who's seeking to maybe change industries and make those types of changes. Can you share a little bit about what we can do as Detroit? I mean, we're the auto capital of the world. We've talked a little bit about how advanced manufacturing, batteries, electronics. Tell me a little bit about what you think, how we as the auto capital can start to look at working with either young people or those middle skilled people to assist in upskilling and new job opportunities.
Well, the first thing, and that's obviously what we're talking about here today, is understanding the issues. And I must say, the fellow the CEO of Ford, at the tail end of his presentation, said, matter of fact, I rushed up to him afterwards because he actually spoke. Yes, he spoke all about electronic vehicles and stuff like that, and the changing in technology. But then he actually said something, and as a result, there are job issues that are coming out of this. And so I think Detroit, as what was the industrial capital of the world not that many years ago, has the mindset to really, I think, throw themselves into this whole idea. The key is the ideas, and the key is what people like yourselves are doing, but then getting that understanding spread amongst those who basically are the creator of jobs. And listening to him speak earlier about the advancing manufacturing once again here in Detroit, as opposed to Taiwan or wherever.
Yeah.
I think that's I think bringing back a lot of manufacturing to the U.S. And by the way, there may be costs to that, but we do have to think about our society much more broadly than just, my view, than just pure dollars and cents.
Art, I really appreciate how Working Nation is using various modes of media to talk about the unemployment issues in our country, nationally, and in certain locales. Can you share a little bit about the town halls that you guys host throughout the country, how you're getting the message out about Working Nation and what you guys are seeking to accomplish in working with local markets?
As I mentioned, the 4 strategies: video storytelling, town hall events in different cities. We've done about 12 or 13 of those with different workforce-related issues that we discuss, and with different other organizations working with us. Then journalism, and then podcasts. We've got a vast library of podcasts. You'd recognize many of the names. But the town hall event is a very powerful mechanism. And I will tell you, Working Nation is clearly looking at Detroit a number of different ways. One, from a town hall event standpoint, and very interested in discussing with you and others about the themes. It's got to be workforce related. That themes that we might want to consider doing it. And Detroit has been near the top of my list for a very long time. And as indicated, but besides town hall events, one of the things we've done, we've started doing digital magazines with all kinds of video about what's going on from an employment standpoint, good, bad, and ugly, in various cities. And so the first one we did was Indianapolis, and that was distributed in May. You can go on our website and find it. It's right at the top of the website page. We did a very interesting, and it was really quite fascinating. About what's the good, as I said, the good, bad, and ugly in terms of where we ought to go. The Lumina Foundation out of Indianapolis was a partner of ours on that. We've done a lot of other stuff with them also. I was sitting here right now. The top of my list for the next 1 and 2 are Detroit, and no offense to Detroit, but I'm also thinking about Atlanta.
Hey, as long as you bring it here, art will be great. But I'm glad you mentioned the Lumina Foundation. Ballmer Group, we've invested in an initiative called Detroit Drives Degrees. And it's really about community colleges working together with employers, business. It's housed at the Detroit Regional Chamber. They serve as an intermediary to figure out exactly what are the needs that employers have. How can post-secondary institutions start to understand clear industry practices so that their student population can obtain the jobs that you and your team are so aware of, that the needs are there. And so really want to understand from you, when we do the town hall, how we can use these type of regional partnerships to really advance and help people connect to opportunities. I think one of the things that is so fundamental in just my own background and being here, I'm a graduate of Cass Technical High School. And Cass, thank you. And when I first met with Dr. Vitti, I remember him saying, Kylee, we wish every high school could be a Cass Tech, where you get the training in high school for careers such as business, finance. Served me pretty well. Steve Ballmer, said he wanted a business person, right? He's a guy that used to run Microsoft. And he too is very much so focused on making sure that we invest in partnerships where students are also learning jobs for future industry, but then also getting that book knowledge, right? So the book knowledge and industry knowledge is important. You're here in the Motor City with us, and we're so glad that you came to Detroit Homecoming. I must ask you one important question. Who's your favorite Motown artist?
It's funny, I ask people all the time, what's the first concert you ever went to? And my first concert was not a Motown artist. First, I was 11 years old, 1964. I was in a sleepaway camp in Massachusetts. I grew up in the New York area. And they took us to see this little unknown band called the Beach Boys. But my favorite Motown, I actually met Barry Gordy. Tina Turner.
Tina Turner. Okay, well, if you like Tina Turner, you like Tina Turner. And she did spend some time at Motown. So you're Detroit Motown artist.
Oh.
He's not getting off the hook, you guys.
I don't know. Can you give me some choices? I don't know who lived where.
Stevie Wonder was my first concert at 11 years old. Everyone knows
Jane Oates, Jane Oates is the president of WorkingNation, who is sitting in the second row over here. Jane's first concert, Stevie Wonder.
Stevie Wonder.
Yes, I do like Stevie Wonder.
You know, Art, it's been a pleasure spending a couple of days with you, and just here at Homecoming, these are the types of things that occur when you can meet with individuals who's doing good work and can come back to Detroit. Can you please share the website for those who may not know WorkingNation?
It's workingnation.com. Don't get confused by the .com. It is a not-for-profit, but that's what was available. So anyway, workingnation.com, and you'll find we've got a vast library of things that we've done. To the extent you want to send contact information, we would be happy to communicate with you, and on a more summary basis than leaving you to the whole website, because we can really bring a lot of attention. But I want to follow up on what you were just describing in terms of your activities. Your activities, your organization, what you're doing, is exactly a story that must be told. And I'm, following this, we're going to follow up, because what you just described is exactly, and great, you and Steve and whoever else are thinking about it, but you look across the 330 million people in this country, so many people have little to no understanding. One of the things, I'll finish on one thing, when I've gone up and down Park Avenue in New York City and meeting all these big fund managers and others, the number of times it's been said to me in a conference room after I laid it all out, they say, Art, I can't believe how you've opened my eyes to the world that my children and my grandchildren will be living in. And yes, they're not worried about wealth. They'll pass on wealth to their family. But what's it like to live, and actually here in Detroit, really big problem. What's it like to live in a city where you have 20, 25, 30, 35% unemployment? And that is the possibilities given the variables that I described earlier.
Well, Art, I really appreciate the opportunity to sit with you today, pick your brain. This will not be the last time that we'll be together, and really looking forward to partnering with you and WorkingNation. You guys, Art Bilger, WorkingNation. Thank you.
Thank you very much.